Hey guys, Buster here, and welcome to the Treasure Island 4.0 explained video. Now, this one may be kinda interesting because while this version has no demo to go alongside it, there is a lot of info in this version nobody talks about for some reason, and if they do talk about it, they do not talk about the correct reasons, especially when it comes to how it failed. And because of that, it makes it perfect for the explained series. Oh yeah, this is the first video of 2025 as well. I wish I did more in 2024, but I am excited because I know damn well 2025 is gonna be our year. Alright, let's get started. So 4.0 was an unreleased version of Treasure Island that was a collaborative effort between Blackout and Stella Wisps. Also, the Purity Sinners were secretly involved in later parts of development, which, in my opinion, is a bold move when you put into context what happened with 3.0. Now, as for 4.0 itself, we don't fully know how everything in the game would work, but a few parts of it have been revealed over the years, so I will talk about those now. So first, with the obvious stuff about the gameplay is just the average, check the cameras and turn them off, your usual FNAF fan game stuff. Now, despite no builds being available, there is a gameplay test video, and it's really just your average Treasure Island affair. Nothing special is happening here, though there is a few interesting things. It seems like there was supposed to be a boss fight with someone named the Inhuman, and many of the Inkblot tunes from Nightmare Before Disney were supposed to appear on Night 5. And it seems like depending on whether or not you wanted to fight against Inhuman or not, you would get one or two endings, which I will talk about later. So, usually I'm not the best at summarizing lore, so I'll link an excellent summary made by one of my fans in the description. It's also important to know that there is a link between this version and MBD 2016, so keep that in mind. So it seems like the whole purpose of Treasure Island is that Treasure Island is a place for failed Disney artists, which basically allowed them to draw whatever they wanted. However, as time went on, the drawings and the ink used for them was damaged, which caused the tunes to warp and become all weird and corrupted. And then all the artists, they take their own lives to get their bodies thrown into a secret vault, like what? I don't see the correlation, but I guess the animation industry isn't very good. This becomes one of those bedtime Disney rumor legend stories, you know what I'm talking about, which causes the SSA to take notice and look more into this mystery just to make a quick buck off of it. However, the Toons then begin to take notice of this, which causes them to kill Henry, who was one of the people the SSA sent and one of the people who also found the vault. And because of this, Henry's soul would later become undying. Then Henry would fall into a more dreamlike state where he's stuck in the mascot tunnels and fights against the Inkblot suits. If that rings a bell, that is exactly what happened in Nightmare Before Disney 2016. From here, the SSA's last resort is to send Jake into the caverns to investigate himself, which is where the said fight against the Inhuman would take place, and depending on whether or not you won, either you would get shoved into some vault or you get pushed deeper into the mascot tunnels. And also, just to rub some salt on the wound, apparently there was nothing in that vault the entire time. So, all that for nothing, I guess. Also, believe it or not, this entire concept was to lead to a cancelled Treasure Island game called Scrapped. Yes, that's Scrapped. We don't know much about this game apart from the fact Blackout had some petty drama with Nocturna, which caused his name to be removed from the credits. And that this was also supposed to be the canonical third Treasure Island game. Also, I should quickly clarify, this was before that one Scrapped demo of the Goofy Pig jump scare. That was something I got around in my original video. There's nothing too much that stands out about the story, but it's at least logical and interesting enough for fan theories to develop, so we were vibing. Alright, so if you couldn't tell from that little tangent I went on at the end of that section, this version had a lot of controversy tied to it, which resulted in cancellation everyone skips over. Like the most popular Treasure Island retrospective video on YouTube said this version was cancelled for PNM being replaced and some other stuff that happened, quote unquote, which is majorly downplaying what actually happened at best. In fact, I just want to say that PNM was replaced with Mick in 4.0, but if there was any massive outbursts of rage about it, I couldn't find anything at all. However, it does seem like they plan to add a cube of Marat's face on it to troll community members who asked for PNM back. So, if this controversy existed in the first place, this probably just pissed more people off. It seems like the main reason why this game failed was mainly just because MBD 2016 ended up being a huge hit in the fan game space. Blackout was putting tons of pressure on Stella to try and finish 4.0 as fast as possible. This resulted in the game not being properly planned out and being cancelled before a publicly made alpha was even released. Also, it seems like the Purity Sinners were working in later parts of 4.0. I know I mentioned this earlier in the video, but I'm going to repeat myself. This was an absolutely bold move if you ask me. I know Purity Sin was just a friend of Stella and had helped them in the past, but with how much drama happened with 3.0 pure because of Purity Sin, It is wild it came back for 4.0 at all. The last thing to mention is that Blackout tried to create a Treasure Island policy, which was a total mess. So let me talk about it real quick. So essentially the whole idea behind this policy is that the official developers noticed the amount of game page slop and noticed it was damaging Treasure Island's reputation, which is an issue I talked about in the previous video, but the way they handled it, it wasn't exactly the best. Firstly, if you want to make a Treasure Island fan game, you would need to pitch a one-night demo to either Blackout or Stella. It would deem if your game was good enough to be uploaded to GameJolt, and if it wasn't, you had to completely scrap the idea. Like, there's no, oh, well, we can give you criticism and help you make a better version of the game. Nope, none of that. You had to cancel it and come up with a new idea. And if you didn't go through this process and just uploaded your game anyway, it would be strike down. This policy also said you could not make any MBD revivals, and it also banned some people from making Fnatic fan games, which, I mean, these people probably did something bad. I couldn't find anything, but I'm willing to believe their names are here for some reason that has been lost to time. Now, look, let's be totally fair, I understand what they mean by this. But it sure as hell could have been handled better. This policy was only ever going to scare people away from creating, not encourage people to make better games. Most people make fan games for the simple fact that they enjoy making a game. Yes, there are very much people who are in it for the follows and likes, but in most cases, fan games are passion-driven projects, so it's not good to take that passion away. And also saying you want to remove all bad Treasure Island fan games from GameJolt is such a bold claim. That would never ever happen, unless you're constantly refreshing GameJolt 24/7. Obviously, this people caused people to get mad to the point they were editing the page to try and make fun of how awful this policy is, until it got locked, and since the page is still up, you can look at the comments in real time. This was even causing people to go and harass people like Desco, which, in any case, I do not agree with. And I know that's not directly the policy's fault, but that is what happened. In any case, the policy failed and hurt 4.0's reputation even more. Shortly after the game was cancelled, but Marad and Blackout had a brief discussion about a 4.5. And when I say brief, I mean a few character models and location ideas were made, but apart from that, nothing to give its own segment in this video. But just know that the ideas for 4.5 is what became of the Lost Ones Treasure Island, which I will be talking about in a future video, so, ha! A cliffhanger! So, in conclusion, 4.0 could have been an interesting version of Treasure Island that seemed to have a decent sounding structure for its story and gameplay. However, bad decisions made by developers was the reason it ended up getting screwed over. Like, seriously, think of what would have happened if the developers just took their time and was careful with each decision they were making. I'll see you guys on the next video, which is probably on the Lost Ones Remastered. I'm trying my best to upload on both Saturday and Sunday now, but I can't promise that'll always be the case. But if it isn't, at least multiple YouTube shorts and live streams will be done throughout the week. Have a nice day.